Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Pillage for you as we move along in our series here, taking a look at the Anglo-Saxons after the Vikings. So their special rule for the faction is that they ignore the effects of fog when it comes up in scenarios, except for the reduced range of bows. So all other fog effects can be ignored. Nothing overly crazy there. Certainly, fog is going to be situational, but when we compare it to the Vikings essentially ignoring morale penalties, I'd say they definitely got the better ability if we're kind of comparing back and forth. Now, these guys, they don't get berserkers. Again, that's a unique Viking thing. They do get access to Huskarls, though, which are also pretty cool. And the healers, no war wagons. So, and you got your base costs there, so 10, 30, 40, and 40 respectively. So the Huskarls do clock it a little cheaper than the berserkers, arguably not quite as good. Still sitting at 1 wound, so that's the big difference there. Unarmored is free across the board, of course. Armor 5 apiece, so far everything's basically the same. Shields also 5 across the board, so we're good there. Improvised weapons also free, so nothing big there. Spears, everybody gets access to that. Basically, the healer again is not there for the weapons, of course. Hand weapons also staying the same as are the Dane axes, so far we're basically neck and neck as far as costs between the factions. Now, we get slings a little bit cheaper with the warrior and chieftain. Huskarls don't get access to ranged weaponry, so the Vikings do pay a little bit more for the slings. Javelins, again, nothing for the Huskarls there. They don't do ranged weapons, basically. So 10 and 10. Also the same. Where the Vikings do have them beat is here for the Saxons, we're paying 25 gold for bows, which is really steep if you do want to bring that ranged component in there. So might not want to give the archers any armor or anything, just to keep it relatively cheap in comparison. So, and still no crossbows here. So those are our ranged options. So cheaper slings, but more expensive on the bows than the Vikings. Now, where we kind of have one up on the Vikings is the fact that we do get cavalry in the Saxons. So horses there, and even mounted Huskarls is a thing. And then aside from that, though, banners, again, Huskarls don't get any other special stuff in that sense. So, but banners, warriors, and chieftains, and the warhorn, we're also paying a premium for the warhorn for some reason. With the Saxons also costing 25 there. Not sure why we have that discrepancy there, but we'll see as we get through the factions. And then last but not least here, we have the War Hounds, which we don't get access to. So we have cavalry. That's our big distinction versus the Vikings so far, when we're just kind of comparing baseline units. So we have that flexibility in having a arguably faster force to get around to certain objectives and make different missions play a little bit differently for us should we choose to bring the cavalry. But again, we're going to pay a pretty hefty upgrade for that, but cavalry do bring some cool options for us. Now we're going to take a quick pause here, and then we're going to take a look at the Huskarl in depth to see what that model brings to us, since that's our unique model. So the key thing with the Huskarls is that they are among those rare warriors who can carry more than one melee weapon. So a unique thing there, right? So we can get a two-handed Dane axe and a sword or hand weapon, which we're going to pay for all that, but it does give us flexibility. So, and we can choose that round to round, right? So pretty cool stuff there. So now if a Huskarl has a shield, when using its sword, its armor class goes from some armor to full armor, basically, right? So, and the other special thing with Huskarls, though, is they have perfected wielding the Dane axe. They take no penalty to hit when wielding the weapon. So that is a game changer there, right? Other people do have access to the Dane axe. It's not necessarily like a state secret as far as a weapon goes, right? That being said, they are just the masters of using that weapon, so there are no to-hit penalties for that. So the other special ability they have, once per game, they can inspire the warriors around them. They bark orders and injunctions to their warriors that redouble their courage. At the end of the movement phase, all friendly warriors within 6 of the Huskarl can make an additional move. So almost getting kind of like a pseudo cavalry bonus once per game here as far as like distance, right? We're going to get that extra move to either get towards a fight and cut off the enemy, or get to objectives, or in some scenarios help get across the board and get off the board, all kinds of other stuff, or just really get far away from the enemy, reposition, regroup, different things there. So pretty potent ability. And a figure can only get one additional move in each game term. game turn. Additional moves can't be used by figures that already charge this turn and can't themselves be used to charge. So keep that in mind. But that is their special shtick, and that's kind of what makes them unique for our faction here, the Saxons that we're covering. It's arguable, I'd still say the Berserker is better, right? Because again, we get 2 attacks and 2 wounds, whereas here we're getting a weapon that other people do have access to. We're just better at it. Now, we do get that once per game ability, but again, comparison-wise, I still say the Berserker is probably better. Just need more games to test it out fully. But yeah, the lack of the penalty with the Danax is going to be the key there. Now, we do have to pay for all that stuff, right? But still a formidable warrior. So definitely, if you're playing Saxons, you need to at least take a couple of these guys, or as many as you can afford, while still keeping up some numbers in your force too. But these guys aren't going to do it all by themselves, so they definitely need to be supported and utilized properly, and hopefully not get taken out by any enemy missile fire before they have a chance to get in. So keep that in mind. And then yeah, that is the Saxons, guys. Let us know if you play them and what your thoughts are so far. How do you typically build your forces? Do you go for a mix of everything? Do you tend to focus on one thing? Do you bring cavalry? How many Huskarls do you bring? Do you buy all the extra goodies for them, as far as the shield and the hand weapon, or do you just kind of keep them bare bones with the Dane axe? So let us know in the comments, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much for watching.